All right, welcome everybody today on this podcast, Trade Talks Blue Collar Business Podcast, hosted on the Glass Guys YouTube channel. We have a special guest today from the Northeast, down visiting some family, somebody that I grew up with, even played Little League Baseball with. I mean, you could say played with. You mostly rode the pine.
I rode the pine.
But Mr. Ryan Silk, thank you for joining us, and Marine, so thank you for your service.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for that.
So, what's going on? I don't even know where to set this up. One thing I do want to get off my chest. When I first started getting on social media about 6 years ago, I started posting, and it takes a lot of courage to do selfies in public and do stuff. Even the people in my closest circles would dog on me.
Sure.
And I would put you in that category. You were one of those. That said, I feel like the relationship of the social media has kind of evolved to the point where now you're wanting to come on the podcast. And it's encouraging for me to see that we can grow together.
Yes, we can grow together. Exactly.
How do you think the social media is, if you've seen it from afar, how has it portrayed the brand of what we're doing down here, up there?
I think it's great. I'm not a big social media guy anymore. I had Facebook for a long time, and for me, I'm kind of a positive thinker like yourself. And I wasn't getting into the podcasting thing. So I kind of went, I'm just not into Facebook anymore, more Instagram. I like the pictures of travel and food, but now even Instagram is, all this OnlyFans and, but what I've seen you do is it's exciting. I see you on LinkedIn and your videos and stuff, and it's motivating. It's fun. And I'm like, hey, man, he's doing it.
And while working. So you can have fun while working at a high level.
Yeah. And you're able to combine the two, which is not easy.
It's not easy, but let me tell you, it's a long tail approach, and it has condensed our sales cycle because it builds rapport with people, and they don't even really know it's happening.
Yeah.
Because when they come into the showroom, it's no more they're just looking around. They're like, oh my God, I watch your videos.
Yeah.
And it's almost like there's a trust factor already built in. So that's pretty powerful.
It is, but it's also dedication.
Yeah.
Right? You own a company and you want to do the social media thing, which is great, but you have to be dedicated to it.
Oh, yeah.
You can't just post a few photos and then 6 months later you fall off.
No.
Right? You
No.
got to stay committed and dedicated.
I mean, maybe if you just came out of the gate with like a sex tape or something like Kim Kardashian, maybe you could shoot up the ladder.
Sure.
I don't know if I could get away with that because it would be considered more of a short film.
Yeah, please don't. Yeah.
It'd be a short film.
really short.
Really short. Solo film, solo project.
Yeah, exactly. But this is great. I walked in, I said, Jesus, this is like the real deal here,
What do you think?
It looks great. Yeah.
It's almost kind of like the Bertellis. You go in the liquor store, go in the basement, they got the hockey stuff.
Yeah, the old days.
God, I missed that. So what else is going on? Let's just tell everybody, we first met, grade school, played Little League ball together.
Yep. I'm 2 years younger, 2 grades behind you. And we, spent a lot of time behind, Phelps School, the baseball field. And you were the star pitcher. And, I'm this guy picking dandelions. I didn't want to play, But, those were the old days. And it was a different time.
You know what I admire about you and your brother during that kind of high school time is you guys were living at a rival town from our town. It wasn't just another town. It was the rival town.
The rival.
The rival. And it was a good rival. What you think a rival town would be like. And then, was it your brother's senior year or freshman year? I forget what year it was. You guys, during high school, moved into the rival town.
It would be my... halfway through 9th grade, moved back to the rival town.
How was that? When your parents said we're moving to Agawam, were you guys like, get fucked? I'm not doing that.
Well, what happened was, so I was born in West Springfield. I was born there. We lived in I was born in like the immigrant section of West Springfield. My family was all immigrants from Ireland, and that was kind of where they went. And then, we kind of moved up in the world. And then they moved to Agawam, and I went there from kindergarten or 1st grade to 5th grade. And then in the middle of 5th grade, we moved back to West Springfield. So, I had made friends in Agawam and good guys, and then all of a sudden I moved. And then in the middle of 9th grade, my parents said, we're moving back to Agawam. I was a West Springfield guy. You know, I had all my friends. I just made all these friends. So we moved back to West Springfield, half of ninth grade. I go back, and there's these guys I don't recognize anymore, right? Because some got into drugs and, you know, whatever, and that's just not, it wasn't my scene. You know, I didn't reconnect with these guys. I stayed friends with my friends in West Springfield. So I told my parents after a year and a half in Agawam, I said, I can't do this anymore. I can't go to this school. I'm going back to West Springfield. I was 16. I said, I'll rent an apartment. I'll do whatever. I can't stay here anymore. And my parents moved back. So I ended up going back to West Springfield my last 2 years of high school.
But Brando stayed.
He graduated.
That's right.
Because that's, you know, you guys
Barely.
graduated in 96. Barely. Yeah. Barely.
Yeah, I think he was close to last.
I think back then, though, before the standardized testing, they were just like, just get out.
They were happier for him to finish than he was to finish.
Yeah, exactly.
Get the fuck out of here.
Well, I mean, you know, but again, is it just such a different time? Back in the day, it was, you know, kids like that, they're like, we're not keeping you back for another year. We're just pushing you through, right? Now, who knows what they would do. You probably got 20-year-olds in senior high school. But yeah, so I went back to West Springfield, and then when I graduated high school, I had an opportunity to work I was working for Lego, the toy company in Connecticut. I was actually my senior year of high school. I did what was called work release. And it sounds like a prison program. But I got a school at 10:52 every day, and I went and worked a full-time job.
No shit.
From 12.
I didn't even know that was a possibility. I would have did that.
Me and all my friends did it. We're all a bunch of screwballs. We didn't go to college, so.
Same.
I worked from 12 in the afternoon till 8 at night. It was perfect. I worked 40 hours a week, you know.
That's
and
amazing.
Always liked working because I always liked having money.
Yeah.
You know, I always have these friends that are like, I can't go to the movies. I have no money. I'm like, go get a job, you know. Started washing dishes at 14 at Storeton Tavern, and just always wanted to have money, you know, like just money to do stuff, freedom, you know. So when I graduated high school, I had an opportunity to go work for Lego in Denmark, because Lego is a Danish toy company.
Can I just stop you for a second? Yeah. When you said starting a tavern, and when we edit this, I want to show a picture of the big yellow slide. Steve Willett and I, during one of the home shows, stole the bread crates.
Yeah, we did the same thing. Yeah.
Okay, but he broke his tailbone. Went off the first one, off the second one. And I remember him having to go to high school just
my God.
sitting on the fucking door because he broke his asshole bone.
Dude, we did the same thing. There were bread crates, and we were with Pelican, and we went, I mean, I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, because you're used to doing it with the rug. You're like, okay, this is fun. But
Yeah.
this was like National Lampoon's when he greases the bottom of the fucking saucer.
Yeah, later, dudes.
I mean, legit.
Yeah.
Sorry to cut you off, so go ahead.
So, so I left high school. I went and worked for Lego, the toy company in Denmark. That's a Danish company. Lego in Danish is legot.
No
which
shit.
Which means play well. A lot of people don't know that little fun fact.
Okay, let's just do that again, because that'll be a great short. Lego is a Danish company.
Yes.
I had no idea about that. And the word translates into the meaning of what?
It's two words. Lege godt. Play well is what Lego means in Danish.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah. So I go over there. I just had this kind of like bullshit job. So I was driving a van around, picking up broken computers, delivering fixed computers. Just in
like, Denmark.
In Denmark. And I lived in this like dorm kind of place. And it was great. And I got paid. Peanuts, but I didn't care. I was 18. I was 4,000 miles away from home. I was allowed to go to bars. I was, it was freedom, right? You know? So I was there for maybe 8 to 10 months, something like that. And then I was coming back. The job kind of ended towards the summer because in Europe, everything closes for like 2 months.
Yeah.
So I go, I'm going to go backpacking, So I go backpacking through Europe on just like no money, but that living the dream. Me and my brother ran with the bulls. My brother flew over. We ran with the bulls, went to Paris, went just everywhere. Switzerland, Sweden, Norway, pick a country. Poland, kind of just meandered around for a couple months.
I want to unpack the running of the bulls because to me, I'm still feel like I'm healthy enough I want to do that. Do they still even?
Yeah, they still do it. So it's
Has it changed at all? It's not litigious or
no,
nothing's the bureaucracy hasn't gotten in the way of it.
Europe, to this, hopefully for years to come, is not as litigious as it is in the States. You can never do something like that in America. People would sue or
Animal rights
the
groups.
people in that area. It's kind of in the middle of nowhere. It's a small kind of town. It's not like a big city, So the people in the area, that's their lifeblood. It's they're not going to get rid of running of the bulls anytime soon. So it's a week long. And what they do is it's a way for them to get the bulls to the arena for a bullfight. So they have to run them through the streets to get them to the arena.
So have they always been doing that, or is this kind of like a marketing thing to get more people involved, or help get the bulls?
They've been doing it for a long time. I mean, like Ernest Hemingway wrote about running on the bulls, in I don't know, maybe the 30s or the 40s, and he's the one that kind of turned it on as a tourist.
Okay, so where does it start? It starts outside the stadium. How far?
Yeah, so you're in this kind of like a town square, and it's a big party. I mean, people are drinking, until 6 a.m, and at 6 a.m, they kind of spray the streets down. They clean the streets so there's no cops or no, anything. And you're in this big square, and everyone now is starting to gather. And about 8 in the morning, you hear a cannon go out, like a boom. And all of a sudden, you look down this alley, and you just see people flying out of the way. The bulls they're out. They're out of the pen, and they're running.
Holy fuck! How many?
Oh God! Don't hold me to this, but 8 to 10 of them.
Big.
I mean, the backbone of the bull was like almost as tall as you. So I mean, maybe they're 800, 1,100 pounds. They're
Holy
huge.
Fuck!
And I mean, they're not. They're just running. They're not like attacking people. They only attack people when they get separated from the herd because they get scared. There's people running right next to them, holding on to them the whole way. The Spaniards they're nuts. So you run and you end up running into this arena. It's only 800 yards. It's still a distance, but it's not like you're running for a mile or 2 miles. It's 800 yards. It goes pretty quick, and then you get into the arena and they put the big bulls away and they bring these little ones out. And the little ones, they have these like capped horns. It's just one. They'll let it out in the arena. So my brother, being the older brother, the kind of Karen of the group, I'm in the arena. He's up in the stands, and he's yelling at me, "Get up here! I'm telling Mom. I'm telling Dad." So it was like kind of good luck. You gotta slap the bull in the ass. So I'm standing next to the Scottish guy, and he's got the kilt, and So we're like, holding the wall, and we're like, all right, ready? Let's, So we're sneaking up on the thing, and in just a flash of an eye, the thing did a 180. I mean, like, all of a sudden, he's right there. So me and the Scottish guy go flying back to the wall. He slipped.
Oh no!
And the bull literally took the guy and flipped him up in the air. So you just see this guy in a skirt go flying.
Like nothing, like a rag doll.
Like a rag doll. And I mean, this bull is probably, 200-300 pounds. I mean, still, formidable beast, but so I go run back to the wall, and I got a picture of my brother pulling me over the wall, and he's yelling at me,
Oh my God.
I can't believe you would do that.
You got to get me a copy of that picture so we can put it in here.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, so
is there a uniform? I notice usually everybody's always wearing the same thing. Is that tradition, or they mandate that you do that? Or?
No, you don't have to. You kind of want to be, when you go to any of these events or anything, you want to fit in, right? So you just, like, I wore just a plain white T-shirt, and you can buy the little red handkerchief. They sell them for $5.
$500 now,
yeah,
probably.
Inflation now, yeah, 50 euros. But it was a really cool bucket list thing. Really cool.
Okay, so that one, I want to do that as well. I think that's something I'd love to do with like Riley and Brooke when they graduate. That'd be really cool to go over and do that.
I said that to Shane. I said, when you graduate high school, I'm taking you to run the bulls. And
That'd be
like,
badass.
I'm not running. I said, well, I'm running.
Now, you've also gone to something else that is looked at as pretty dangerous is Isle of Man.
Isle of Man TT, yeah.
And that is where?
So the Isle of Man is a small island between England and Ireland. It's part of the UK, but it's somewhat autonomous. It's not considered the UK like Scotland, Wales, England, Northern Ireland. But they use the British pound. And
what's the population?
I would say the population's probably, 30 to 50,000.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the track is 37 and a half miles long. And it goes through towns and then there's, spots where it's open. And actually, they call it the mountain course. They actually go up into a mountain, and you can go up into the mountain and watch the race. And these guys are going, on these little country roads, they're going 200 miles an hour.
I've seen videos. It's almost hard to watch. How is it in person when they're going by? Like,
it's
someone dies at this every year, no?
Yeah, we went this past year. There were 7 of us, and one guy died. Yeah, and we didn't know about it until after. Usually, you'll know when a guy died because they stop the race and they clear the accident, and then they continue racing. It's kind of, these guys know the risk. There's no one's forcing them to be there. Like it's. Yeah, and the year before, I think 6 guys died. So they have different classes of motorcycle, different sizes, and they have these things called sidecars, it's a 2-man. It looks like a space yacht. I don't know why they call it a sidecar.
How fast are
These
they
are going 200 miles an hour.
No way.
Yes.
No.
And the guy in the sidecar, he's not even in the thing half the time because he's keeping the weight of the vehicle, of the sidecar.
Oh, so they're like leaning out of it.
He'll be completely out of the.
This is going on usually the same weekend, so there's like different types of races or flights.
Yeah, it's 2 weeks, so it starts like end of May is the first week is qualifying, and they race every other day.
Big festival or party or is just racing?
Yeah, they get like 20 to 40,000 people that go.
Oh, man.
Mostly during the race week. There's people that go qualifying because the bikes are still going 200 miles an hour. A lot of people from England, I would say, then probably like Germany and France has the second and third most people. I didn't see many Americans the first time I went. I met like a couple. This time around, I met probably 8 Americans, different people.
I don't know of a sport that has anything going any faster or has more risk than that. But yeah, you don't hear. I mean, it's not really touted. It's kind of like an underground thing.
It is. Well, it isn't. Now it isn't because it was on 60 Minutes. So the last, my aunt had called and said, "Oh, turn on the CBS, 60 Minutes. They're doing the Isle of Man." So I went, oh, "Shit." Now, more people are going to know about it.
Oh.
I like going to stuff where no one knows about it. And,
That's pretty
And then
badass.
people see it and go like,
holy shit.
Where are you? And I go, I'm a Isle of Man TT. So as soon as I saw that on 60 Minutes, I called my guy in the Isle of Man and I said, "Hey, I'm going to book the room. We rent an apartment. It's right on the water." I said, "We're going to book the apartment again." So he's like, "Yeah, nope, I got it saved for you." He'll hold it for me and and I'll say I'm coming or I'm not coming. Because if you don't know anyone, you got to book a year ahead of time.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah. It's that far out.
And that's really the only thing going on in that city.
Yeah, I mean, people go there on vacation and stuff. It's a beautiful island. It's a really picturesque.
You fly into it or you have to boat to it?
You can take a ferry from England, or we usually fly to Dublin, and then you take a flight from Dublin to the Isle of Man. It's like
just a little puddle jumper?
Yeah,
or
like 25-minute flight.
Okay.
You go up and you come down one of those.
Yeah.
So, but definitely put that on your bucket list. It's words can't describe. Yeah, this year we were at a spot called Gorse Lee, and we were maybe a foot away from these guys, and they were going 175.
Holy
and they were coming out of a corner at 175.
Shit.
Yeah.
That's sick.
Yeah, it was wild.
Don't bring your brother there.
No, then they want to get a street bike.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, Isle of Man, I've done some other.
What else in Europe? So you got Isle of Man, you have Running with the Bulls. What else? Any castle tours, anything?
Well, so when I was in Denmark, I used to go eat lunch at this kind of the main building, and there was a big desk when you'd walk in, big 25-foot desk, and there was this little old Danish lady, and she would kind of greet people, So I would always talk to her. Her name was Ilsa. I'd say, "Oh, your hair looks wonderful today," this and that. And she would, stop it. You're just saying that. No, I'm just, I was just being nice to people, right?
Yes,
we talk
yes.
about opportunity and just connecting with people.
Of course.
What can transpire from that connection.
What happened?
So I'm about to leave. Maybe I still got a couple months left. And she says, "Hey, I got something for you. You need to go pack your bag for 3 days. I'm sending you on a trip." And I said, "Well, where am I going?" And she goes, "I can't tell you that. It's a secret." And I said, "Well, I have to tell my boss." And I never told her my boss's name. She goes, "Peter Knudsen?" I said, "Yeah." She goes, "Yeah, I already talked to him. So I'm like, how do you know who my boss is?
Wow, this is
So
awesome.
I get back to, my workspace.
Respect to her.
And the guy, my boss is there, and he says, hey, I got to ask you something. Is your dad like the president of Lego America? And I said, no. And he said, how do you know that lady? I said, I just talk to her every day, just when I see her. He's like, she's best friends with the owner of Lego, because Lego is incorporated. It's owned by a family, right? So this lady grew up with the owner since they were in diapers. So
you had no idea of this.
I had no idea. Just
you were just being nice to her.
Just being nice to her. So the next day, go to the airport. We went on the corporate jet, the owner's jet. They flew us to Switzerland. Yeah. Yeah, I know. I'm on the corporate jet. My parents did work for Lego, but they weren't, like president. They weren't, they weren't running the show or anything. So I took a picture, and I think back then I had to scan it, get it developed and scan it.
Oh, that's right.
I sent it to my parents. I said, I just went on the corporate jet, the owner's jet. And my dad's like, I've been with this company for 25 years, and, so just opportunity.
Just from being nice,
just from being nice.
Jay and I talk about this all day. Soft skills are so underrated and underutilized. You see it anytime you go out to restaurants now. I mean, the service has really gone downhill.
Yeah.
And it really just stems from the soft skills. Just being nice to someone, making them feel heard, and putting a positive spin on something, like you said earlier, has a massive neurological impact on human beings.
Sure.
And a lot of times it triggers reciprocity, i.e., in this case, this woman knows this young man is being polite, going out of his way just to be nice, doesn't have to, doesn't know who the hell she is, and she says she's got access to stuff. She wants to return the favor. Yeah. And it probably was nothing for her to do that, but it meant everything to you. Yeah. And kudos to you for recognizing that. Where do you think you developed that? Like, I know where I got some of my, streak from, but where did you think you picked that up if you were to look back now?
I think, you probably get it. It's probably paternal. You get it from a parent or a relative. I would see my dad. He would always just talk to random people. And when I was young, I'd be like, oh, God.
Which is wild, because when I was younger, your dad scared the fuck out of me.
He scared everyone.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah. The house was, I was scared.
Yeah. So, but I mean, he would always just connect. He would just start talking to people, And when I was a kid, I'm like, oh God, what is he doing? No one wants to hear you talk.
Well, I'll tell you, there's an old saying that says, interesting people are interested. And your dad always looked interesting because he was always well kept. He was immaculate. Everything matched. His car was always clean. If you ever wanted to see him, he'd go by the golden nozzle because he was there getting his car washed.
Still.
Every day.
Yeah. Still same golden nozzle.
But he looked interesting, which made him interested. People wanted to be interested in talking to him. And and your mother's a sweetheart. So, yeah, I could see where you've kind of taken a blend of both of them. And, wow, that's a really cool story.
Yeah.
All right, so what did you do when you were there for 3 days?
We went tobogganing. There was another guy who went as well. He was an exchange college student. He was an American. He was from Texas Dave. And he was kind of the guy that got me into traveling. Like, he left Denmark before I did, and he would tell me, oh, we would email back then. You got to check this place. I just got back from Prague. I just got back from here. Here's where you got to go. And he was another guy that connected, and when I first met him, I don't know if when you meet people with that Texas swagger and you're from New England, you kind of like, oh God, like, all right, get off the cross. We need the wood, So when I first met him, I didn't get along with him. And the people that lived in our building, most of them were from Denmark, a guy from England, a couple from Sweden, and they were like, "Why how come you don't talk to Texas Dave?" I said, "I can't stand the guy. I just can't stand this, Texas swagger." And then we ended up, somehow clicking, and then we would kind of go on these weekend trips together. We go to Poland or Germany or Amsterdam, whatever.
Ooh.
And so when you're 18. And so anyway, Dave would like practice guitar. He had this acoustic guitar, and he was awful. Like, just kind of like, had to like look
just
at
making
the chord,
noise.
and I'm like, oh my God. And he goes, before I leave, I'm going to play at the Highlander. It was a bar in town. They'd have like live music and stuff. And I'm like, Dave, you're never going to play at the Highlander, dude. Like, you're not there. He freaking played, and he packed the house. Everyone knew Texas Dave. They freaking loved the guy because he was a positive, forward-thinking person.
Wow.
You know? And so he packed it. He packed the place. And so he was just such a tremendous guy that, you know, that Texas, like I said, that Texas, it grows on you. So he was traveling ahead of me because he had left Denmark, and he went up to Scotland, and he goes, hey, I'm up in Scotland. I'm going to stay here for a little while. This clan adopted me. He's up in the high, like way, way up in Scotland. He was up there for a month. He was living with the people. They got him a tartan, a kilt. And because with the kilts, the color of the kilt lets them know what clan you're part of.
This is like within recently. How long ago was this?
No, this was like 1999, where he was.
Is that? Do you think they still live like this?
Oh yeah, they still. When I went to Scotland, I went to the Highland Games. It's called the Braemar Gathering, and the Queen, when she was alive, she went there. I couldn't believe the Queen was. I'm looking. I go, that's the Queen, and this is Prince Charles, and like this is wild. They're here, and it's just this little like kind of track. And maybe like 3,000 people go. They had more bagpipers than people. They had like 1,500 bagpipers. And they just kind of go around and they're playing the whole time. And they're doing the caber toss. So I said to this kid the night before, I think I was in Edinburgh, and I said, hey, I want to get a kilt. I want to be part of this thing, you know? And he goes, you got to get a party kilt. And I said, okay, what's the party kilt? He said, well, you can't wear these certain colors because you're not part of that clan. They'll know. They'll know. So this kid's talking, and he goes, yeah. He goes, so I'm a Campbell, and the other bartender comes over. He goes, I'm a McGregor, and they were like looked at each other like they were ready to start beating the hell out of each other. And he said, oh shit, this is still a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Hatfield and McCoys.
Yeah. So that's
so
how
what the color is it? Is it like rainbow?
Rainbow. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you're a Dawman, that's the Dawman clan. It's a rainbow, and they wear purple undies.
Oh, I was going to say, how does it come? Is it just attached around the waist? Is there anything attached underneath, like in a swimsuit, or is it just
you would wear
open
like
air?
a long, like a tight short or like a boxer brief, and then there's a whole way to do it. But yeah, so I just like wore a party kilt and whatever. But they know like you're up there, and they're like, look at this guy. He's not even fucking wearing
fucking
it, right?
wanker.
Yeah, it's fucking American. So, but it was cool. It was another like bucket list thing, you know.
Doing that, assimilating with your environment is also a smart skill set to deploy.
Yeah.
You know, especially in a foreign environment, you don't know anybody. The first thing you want to do is build rapport with people so you can have some contacts.
Yeah.
And I think that's smart on your behalf.
Yeah, I mean, you want to, when you meet people, you know, whether it's on a business level or personal, you want to connect with them.
Of course.
You know, for me, it's travel or it's food. You know, like I like, you know, when I go.
You're a foodie.
When I go to the foreign places, yeah, I mean, I'll eat. You know, I say, what's the local dish here? I'm allergic to seafood, but as long as it's not seafood, I'll try it. You know, I want to feel the culture. I don't want to go to England and eat Pizza Hut. You know what I mean? Not that England has. There's some. I've had some good food in England, but not. You know, when you go to London, it's all.
What's the craziest country that the food just like blew your socks off that we wouldn't think of?
So, I was able to. I took my dad to Peru.
Oh yeah,
I was going to Peru, and my dad said, you know, guilt tripped me. He goes, I've always wanted to go to Machu Picchu, and I said, I take you everywhere. You have 2 other kids, you know, have them take you to.
Oh, is it expensive?
So no, I was just busting his chops. So
Is it though? Is it nice?
Yeah. So for Father's Day, I got him the plane ticket, and I said, all right, you're coming with.
That's right.
So we go to Lima, and my buddy had said, hey, when you go to Lima, they have really good restaurants there, like 5-star restaurants.
Oh shit.
And you don't think of that, you know, Peru. So I go down there, and there's some really top restaurants, and I call them. I said, hey, I'm just wondering if I can get in, you know. And one girl laughed. She goes, we're a year out.
A year?
A year. Another girl goes, we're 6 months out. And the other girl said, yeah, we're about 6 months out. She goes, but let me take your number, because sometimes people won't show up. And if you can get here quick, we'll call you.
Fuck yeah.
So the name of the restaurant is called Central. And it just this past year won Restaurant of the Year for the world.
No way.
Voted best restaurant in the world. So I go there. It's a Michelin star restaurant. Do you know what Michelin
Yeah,
star?
yeah.
So it was a Michelin star, and I guess you can lose the stars and gain
Sure.
them. They're kind of bouncing them around. So this at one point was a Michelin star restaurant, and I went in, and it was like they had a doctor on payroll, a botanist, an archaeologist, and just when you have food like that, it's not that the taste was the best; it was the experience. So the menu is kind of like it goes by elevation. So you'll eat something, and it'll say everything in this plate is grown at 3,000 feet in elevation, every single thing. And that's why they have an archaeologist in case they're digging for potatoes or beets and they find an old sculpture or something. The archaeologist comes in, does his thing, and then returns it to the kind of like the locals. So it was just like one of those things. I'm like, how am I here? Opportunity, right? How am I freaking? I'm looking. I'm like, I don't belong here.
Was your dad there as well?
He didn't want to go.
No.
Yes. I said, Dad. Yeah. He goes, I don't eat the food you eat. I'm not a traveler like you. I just want a burger. And I said, all right.
I'm so intrigued by the service, and I didn't know things could get to that level. I would 100% go.
Oh,
and I'm a fussy eater, but I would want to see the experience as well.
Yeah, Central.
I could choke down just about anything.
Yeah. Well, it was like, again, our palates aren't used to that, right? Because we don't even realize the salt and the process.
Shit.
We have shit food here.
Shit.
There, like I had this like cactus broth. It was like bright orange, and I'm looking at it going like, tried it, not bad, but it's
different.
That's natural food.
Yeah.
So that was an experience, and I would say Lima was top for food.
What was the name of the restaurant again?
It's called Central.
And it's recently been voted number
2023. I was there in 2020 because COVID. We got out, and like a week later, they shut the country down.
Holy shit!
They were Americans from Connecticut that were stuck there for a month. So we luckily we got out. So, yeah.
How expensive is a Michelin rated restaurant?
That restaurant was
a couple hundred a plate.
They had 12 course and 16 course. I just got the 12 because I'm like, what if I don't like this food?
Yeah.
So with the 12, it was like
need more napkins.
$250.
Oh yeah.
So, but I mean, for that,
well worth it.
It's once in a lifetime.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, 6 months.
Did you take a picture?
I have pictures of the food. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that Zac Efron did. He did a docu-series where he's kind of traveling around. He went to Central.
Oh no shit.
Yeah. I saw it after. I was watching the show and I said, "Oh shit, that was the place I went to."
That's so cool.
Yeah.
All right. Wow, I didn't realize you did this much traveling. So you prefer South America over Europe?
Now I do because Europe is just losing its. It's not the same place it was when I went there 25 years ago. 25 years ago, you felt like you were in Europe.
What do you think changed that?
I think that an over influx of immigration. I think that they took too many immigrants in, and I'm not against immigrant at all.
It just changed it.
It changed it. I think when you add too much stock to the soup, it changes the flavor.
Yeah, too much of anything can.
Too much of anything.
Yeah.
So it's like I still go to when I go to the Isle of Man, like this year when I'm going, I usually stop in Dublin. I have friends there. I hang out with them, and you're in Dublin. You're like this is, you don't even think you're in Ireland. You don't even meet Irish people. And you go, I want to come to Ireland. I want to meet Irish people. You got to go out in the countryside, but you expect that in America. America's a melting pot, right? But you don't expect it in these small towns in Ireland and England, and so it's kind of losing its edge. Again, a lot of processed food in Europe now. Back 25 years ago, you get real food.
Yeah,
you don't get that anymore. So
that could have a lot to do with it as well.
Yeah, and so you're getting. I'm going. We're starting to go to South America, so we're going to Colombia in February.
Have you done Asia?
Yeah, I've done Asia in the military.
Where?
Japan, Thailand.
How was Japan?
Korea. I'm just not an Asia guy. It's just not my. I have friends. They we're going to India, and it's just not my cup of tea.
I heard some parts of that is toilet water.
Yeah. So my buddy Jim, who's from Dublin, I met him when I was hiking out in the Himalayas. Did the Everest base camp trek.
Oh, fuck. We have to talk about that. That's right. I don't even know how we missed that. Thinking, how can we get better than running with the bulls in Isle of Man? You know Bryce.
Yep.
Bryce's fucking bucket list, and he talks about this all the time. wants to fucking climb Mount Everest. And we've been talking about it.
Yeah.
Tell us, Bryce in particular, what does that process look like? Obviously, you're not going right to the top, but let's say he could.
Yeah.
What does it look like even traveling to get there? How long is it? Where did you go?
Yeah,
Give us the whole deal.
So
Where is it?
I've been out there twice and done some climbing and some hiking and some trekking and the whole lot. The highest I went was like 22.5 in elevation.
And how high? What's the total?
22,500 feet in elevation.
Yeah, but what's the total peak of the mountain?
Of Everest is 29,029 feet.
So you're 7,000 feet shy of it.
Yeah.
And could you feel a difference?
Oh yeah. At 22,000 feet, the oxygen level is like half of what it is at sea level.
How long did it take you to get up there?
To get up takes like a couple days to do that.
Get to 22,000, it took you a couple days.
Yes, the difference with Everest is it takes 2 months to climb.
Oh, okay.
You're not climbing for 2 months straight. You're going up. You start at base camp, and there's 4 camps along the way. And I only know this because I've talked to people who've summited.
Sure.
I talked to 3 women this past year, last year, 2022. I talked to 3 women that summited. Amazing women. I mean, one lady had a hat, Boss Babe, and I'm going, oh God, look at this tourist, like she's just here to do the Everest trek and, make a video. And I started talking to her, and she summited. I'm like, she looks like she could be on the Real Housewives of New Jersey or something, then you start talking, you're like, oh my God, again, we always kind of judge people, but you need people like that to put you in check and go, don't stop judging people, because there's some amazing people out there and they don't look like.
Don't judge a book by its cover.
Yeah, exactly. So
how long did it take you to? So you get there, you travel into a little city, and now you're going to start making your way up.
So you fly into Kathmandu. It's the capital of Nepal.
Okay.
First and foremost, you fly into Kathmandu.
What a great name, Kathmandu.
It's not a great town. It's very polluted, and it's just really poor. And
oh, really?
Yeah. It used to be in the 60s and 70s, a lot of hippies would go there. It used to be this like hippie trail, and it would go through actually Iran and Afghanistan.
Really?
And Nepal. Yeah. And back then it was safe. Kathmandu is just run down. It's not what this city it was.
Kathmandu.
So then you fly from Kathmandu up into the mountains, and you fly into the world's most dangerous airport. It's called Lukla. The runway is about 5 football fields, which is short in runway terms.
Fuck yeah.
And it's pitched up, I want to say either 12 or like 20 degrees up. So when you land, you're landing uphill. They kind of bring the plane in, and they kind of like, not stall it, but, pull back on the throttle so you can get on par with the runway. And then they punch it, and you land going uphill. And there's no turn, there's no like flyover. If you're landing, you're either going to hit the mountain or you're and these planes crash. I think last year a plane up in that region killed like 70 people or something.
Fuck.
Yeah. So it's risky. There's no FAA. Yeah, you see these guys.
So
you're like,
the
when's
risk,
the last time you inspected this plane?
The risk of the
just
mountain
getting up there.
Holy fuck.
Yeah, and then when you leave, you're taking off downhill, and you're going like down. It's like going on a roller coaster. It's like holy shit. And then there's a mountain in front of you, so they got to veer left. So just getting up there is scary. So then,
did you go by yourself, by the way?
I went by myself, and this is where I met Jim, my buddy from Dublin. So everyone kind of was going in groups. I just want to be alone. Like. I want to just I want to disconnect from the world for a few weeks.
Wow.
And shut my phone off, and
cool.
So, and it's great. A trek like that is, and they have them all over. You can do them in South America, and the Everest one is pretty good. So everyone's in a group but me, and then I see my buddy Jim, and we're both lost. We don't even know where to start trekking. So he said, hey, we'll trek together, and if you want to split off, we'll split off. It's not a big deal. And then we're going along. We see this English girl, and she's alone, and she's lost. So we said, "Hey, I'm Ryan. This is Jim. If you want to tag along with us, we'll more than welcome to." And the 3 of us went all the way up to Everest Base Camp.
And how long did that take?
So that takes like 12 days to get up there. It's 40 miles, but there's no roads. It's all hiking.
Holy
so
shit!
Every day you have about a 3-hour hike where you're going just up, not straight up, but decent incline. Yeah. And then there's a day where there's a couple days where you stay in the town you're in because you have to acclimate to the the altitude.
No shit.
Yeah, and the first one's about 11,000, 12,000 feet, and people are dropping like flies, believe it or not, at 11 or 12,000 feet.
Oh, so
There's
you're
people
already
that-
going up. You see him coming back down.
There's people that they get helicoptered out of there. They're so sick they can't climb.
Is that something that it's not something you can kind of like tough out, like, grin and bear it? Is it the out?
You could, but it's a painful. If you go down in elevation, you start feeling better quicker. You're gonna be muscling it out for a couple days, and some people just go, it's awful. You're throwing up, and so I got sick coming down because I did 22 miles in one day.
Too much.
Too much. I stumbled into the town. It's a tea house, just a plywood building. They got a little heater in the common area, and then it's just plywood, and it's just a mattress in your room. There's some of them, they don't even have lights.
What time of year did you go?
So to do the trek, you have to go, mid-September to like December, or you have to go like April, March to May. Those are the only times because it's the rainy season. So you can't go in the summer. It's just rain. It's just raining for a month straight. It's a mudslide. So, you're kind of going up along the way. And as you're going up, the elevation, the trees are getting shorter. And then you get to a point, you come up over this ridge, and it's just rocks and ice, and just that's it.
Did you have intentions of going all the way up?
Summiting?
Yeah.
No.
You knew when you were there. That wasn't even in the cards.
I wanted to see what it was like. Like what is this like? I've never even hiked before. That was the first time I went hiking.
Oh, so you must have been gassed as it was.
Yeah. I was struggling, man. Yeah. The altitude was fine with me.
But your legs and back, were you you had a tent
I was
and
in
everything?
decent shape. No, you stay at these tea houses. It's like $3 a night, $5 a night, and they have food there, and they cook you food, and just a little plywood, very primitive.
So when
building.
you see on the news or these documentaries where they have these, I don't even know what they're called,
Sherpas.
Yeah, they guide you. The Sherpas don't start till you get up to a certain point.
Yeah. So if you're gonna do let's talk about if you want to summit Everest.
Yes, that would be a dream.
Yes, it's $60,000 to $100,000 to summit Everest. It takes 2 months, and you're not guaranteed. You could pay the $100,000, and if you don't summit because you're sick or whatever, you don't get the money back. It's non-refundable.
You're paying for this guy to take you up there?
Well, it depends. You can
Who
get.
do you pay? Why is it so expensive?
It's a trekking organization, so it's a climbing company.
What do you get for it?
You get food. They pitch all the tents. They set all the fixed lines because you're hooked onto ropes. You know what I mean? Climbing up, so you get all that for 2 months, and what they do is there's 4 camps along the way, going up Everest. So what you'll do is you'll start at base camp and you'll go up to camp 1, maybe stay there for a day or 2, and then you come all the way down. Then you go up to camp 2, come all the way down. Go up to camp 3, come all the way down. Go up to camp 4, come all the way down. So you're acclimating to the altitude. And then you hit camp 4 around summit is usually, first or second week of May. And you're at camp 4 and you go 2:30 in the morning, and you go to the top.
Fuck.
Yeah.
That would be
people
epic.
And this past year, you see videos. There's a guy that died right on the South Col. It's kind of like the last climb you got to do before you hit the summit. And just climbing over this guy, he died. Most people die on the way down because of exhaustion.
Just drop.
And they leave you up there. You're not coming down.
And you stay almost preserved, right? Because of the cold,
Yep.
you're frozen.
Yeah, they found a guy who they think actually was the first guy to summit Everest in 1922. They found his body in the 90s, and his body he still had skin and everything.
Fuck.
Yeah, it was still like preserved. It's so cold up there, So, yeah, I mean, the last time I went up there, I went to Mara Peak, and I was like, all right, let me just see if I have the mentality to do Everest. And I did this climb, and I just went, it takes a certain person.
But when you get there, when you get to base camp and can you see where you're going, or is it a cloud cover?
So when you get to base camp, you can't see the summit from there, but there's a mountain close by that you can climb. It's called Kalapatar, and I want to say it's like 19,000, something like that.
It's like the NIT tournament.
Yeah, I mean, when you're at Everest, and I don't want to take anything away from people that have summited or by any stretch of the imagination, but when you're looking at Everest and you're standing in front of it from Kala Patar, it's not that big. It's just the elevation. The prominence of the mountain from base camp to the top is only, I shouldn't say only, but it's 12,000 feet. So it's like less than 2 of Mount Washington's. So it's not a huge mountain. Kilimanjaro is bigger prominence wise than Everest is. Kilimanjaro is from the base to the top is 20,000 feet.
Oof.
So yeah, I don't know. It's been a couple times I've been up there where like the last time I was up
You've
there.
gone twice?
I've gone twice. to that
No,
area.
fuck.
Yeah.
Would you go again?
If friends wanted to go, I would go. I wouldn't go alone anymore.
You would want to go to see their reaction to it?
Yeah, exactly. Like
Yeah.
this time I went to Isle of Man, I brought a bunch of friends, and I just wanted to see their reaction. They'd
Was it
seen my
cool?
videos for years, and they were just, the first bike that came by,
I bet.
I wasn't watching the road. I just wanted to watch them, and I'm watching their faces. And I said, don't lean out over the wall until you're comfortable, because these bikes are going to come by, and they're going to just scare the shit out of you.
Holy fuck.
So the first bike comes by, and they all go flying back, because they think the bike's going to
Yeah, no clue.
yeah. So, I mean, I would go back. As far as if anyone wants to do Everest, I mean, go out to that region first. If like someone like Bryce wanted to go out and do the trek first. And if you can't do the trek, or you have problems with the trek, you're not going to summit.
And what did it cost you to do the trek?
It's pretty cheap. So,
From someone that wanted to go from the United States
yep.
to base camp where you were,
Yep.
how many days, how much money?
Yeah, so I usually want at least 2.5, 3 weeks, because you want to have enough buffer room.
Oh, fuck.
Right? So I flew out of JFK to Kathmandu. It's a 14-hour flight to Qatar, and then from Qatar to Kathmandu, it's like 5-6 hours. So that flight was $900 out of New York, round trip. The flight up to the mountain region, the airport is called Lukla. That flight is about $300. It's a bit expensive, but you're paying for the locals to go up there. It's a little bit of a welfare system where you're a Westerner, you have some money, so you're going to pay for one of the locals to go up there if they have to fly. There's other things associated with it. So there's helicopter insurance. So if you get sick, you have helicopter insurance. The helicopter will come get you out.
Oh, that's cool.
If need be. So that was like $125. Daily, you're probably $12 a day, no more than 15 or 20. The food is like $3 for like noodles and stuff like that.
Keep talking.
And then there's not much. I would say it's probably, all in probably $2,200 for the 3 weeks. So it's pretty reasonable.
2,200 to have a memory or an experience like
Yeah.
that is a no-brainer.
So, but that's going alone, right? So if you want to get there's tour groups. If you go online, they'll charge you $5,000, right? Or you can, when you get to Kathmandu, you can hire someone to carry your bags. They're called porters. You can hire a guide. You can hire a guide and a porter.
How much?
Or when you land in Lukla, they're standing right there. So I always tell people, if you're going to go, hire them when you get at the airport, because they're the cheapest. There's no middleman up there. For the guide, for like, the 12 days or whatever, it's like, $200. For the porter, it's like $100, $150. Maybe $500. They'll carry your stuff. They'll explain everything to you. If you go solo like I did, I'm a total nitwit.
Well, you didn't know any better.
I know. I should know better, because here comes my nitwit coming into full play. I wanted to sleep under the Northern Lights in Iceland, so get divorced, going through divorce, and I go, I want to go to Iceland. I've always wanted to go to Iceland. I want to go see the Northern Lights. This was, I don't know, 8-9 years ago. So, I bought all the tents. I bought everything. I've never been camping. Okay. I've, in the military, I've stayed out in tents, but it's not camping, right? That's just a bunch of Marines in the woods and whatever. So I bought the tent. I bought all the camping gear. Oh my God, this is going to be awesome. I'm going to sleep under the Northern Lights. Okay. I get out there. I'm freezing my ass off for 3 days. Freezing. I was like, I'm gonna fucking die out here.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
It's cold.
So the first night, they tell you when you get to Iceland, if you want any kind of alcohol or anything, buy it at the airport. So I bought some wine at the airport, like a boxed wine at the airport. So I'm in the tent, I'm drinking boxed wine just to stay warm, right? And I'm drinking boxed wine. I ended up falling asleep. I had a good sleeping bag. I took mine from the military. Sorry, I acquired it from the military. And I get up in the middle of the night. I have to go to the bathroom. And I'm out in the middle of nowhere. When I tell you in the middle of nowhere, there's no one for 20 miles at all.
By yourself?
By myself. I parked my car. I left a note. I'm up in this mountain. And I hiked 2 miles in. And I pitched the tent. And I have a picture of the tent somewhere. So for 3 days, I'm camping. It was back to that first night. I unzipped the tent, and the whole sky is the northern lights. It's green and purple. And I'm like, oh, my God, this is it.
This is what I wanted.
This is what I wanted. So after 3 days, I finally get some internet. The gas stations in Iceland, they have free Wi-Fi. So I go get some Wi-Fi, and I posted some pictures. My buddy goes, dude, you must be freezing your ass off. I go, I am. He's like, why are you in a summer tent? I said, what are you talking about? He goes, dude, that tent is for like the summer. I'm like, dude, I could see the wind one night blowing through the tent.
Holy fuck.
Like a jet stream, you know?
Oh, my God.
So after the 3 nights, it started snowing. So I said, all right, I did it. You know, I'm gonna stay at like a hotel or a hostel or something.
That's hilarious.
So, but yeah, it was, but opportunity, taking that chance. Had I not done that, I would have never seen the Northern Lights like I did. I had it all to myself. I'm just middle of nowhere. Sky is purple and green, and it was.
Is it going to happen? Were you afraid that you wouldn't be able to? Something would cause for you not to see the Northern Lights, or is it pretty prominent a certain time of year?
No, they're only out in the winter. You have to go from, I want to say, mid-October to like mid-March or end of March or something. They're only in the winter. You can't, if you go there in the summer, you won't see them. And you're not guaranteed to see them because it could be cloudy. They could be in one part of Iceland and not the other, or you could be 10 miles away and not see it. They're just very kind of, they always say, don't go chasing the lights. You won't find them. They'll come to you. I've seen them a few times, and we're going to Iceland in March. Going back to Iceland.
Who's going?
Shane, family, we're all going.
The whole gang? Brando
is not going. He doesn't go anywhere. He's a homebody. Yeah, he's lame.
Fucking lame.
So Shane said, I want to see the Northern Lights.
That's cool.
So I said, all right, we'll go. But for us, it's, we fly out of Boston. It's 4 hours. The plane ticket was $320 round trip.
No, fuck.
Yeah.
To Iceland, that's it. It's 4 hour.
4 hour flight, yeah.
And you need a passport.
Passport.
And how is Iceland as far as the city's concerned? Like, hotels, nice?
Yeah, nice. It's
not third world country.
No, very clean. They've like
English speaking?
Most people speak English. Yeah. When you get out in the countryside, some of the older people don't.
What do they speak?
They speak Icelandic.
What?
Icelandic.
That's what it's called.
Icelandic is an ancient language. Yeah, it's one of the 10 ancient languages of the world. It's still spoken. Yeah.
You know any of the swear words?
I don't know any of the words. No.
Oh.
So I know a little bit of Danish. I know enough to get me by. So some of the older people speak Danish. So if I have an issue, I'll kind of speak Danish to them.
Well, you got the cell phones now too. You can just type shit in.
Now you do. Yeah. So, but it's an amazing place. It's a bit expensive. Usually we'll do it like an Airbnb because then you can cook food and bring food with you. Because it gets, you're traveling with 4 or 5 people. It's, you go out to eat, it's $200.
Would you advise people in their younger days, instead of work to save, to live in the future, to live now? It sounds like you really were ahead of the curve as far as experiencing other things. And I think it actually benefits you being able to talk to different people by having all those different experiences, being able to assimilate.
Yeah.
You're a very approachable human being.
I would say, I have friends that work a million hours. I have a friend my best friend lives in New York City, works a million hours. His idea of a vacation, he has like 2 days off and he'll fly to California and then fly home. And I go, you're just in an airport. You're really enjoying that. Obviously don't take all your money and spend it on traveling, have some equity, but don't save every single dime until you're 65 years old. Because when you're 65 years old, you're not going to fly, to Kathmandu.
You're not running with the bulls.
You're not running with the bulls. You know what I mean? And life's short. Like my grandmother said, when God wants you, he's coming to get you. And there's nothing you can do about it. And she would say that. There's nothing you can do about it. And she's right. Like, you don't know when your time is going to come. So And me personally, I'd rather be on my deathbed and go, man, I regret that I did that, than say, I wonder what that would have been like.
Oh yeah, that
You know what
sucks.
I mean? I'd rather live with the regret than live with.
Well, the regret of not doing something is really.
Or the regret, of not doing
that's
something.
poison.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. That's cool.
Yeah. So yeah, it just I love seeing the world. I've been in, I think, like 55 countries now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah. All over.
That's impressive right now.
Yeah. Alone. Like I would always tell my parents, so my parents one time, I was in Afghanistan. I was working in Afghanistan. I told my parents, I'm coming home. I won't see you because I'm going to Turkey. I'm going to go on vacation, but I have to go right away because the ticket is, So my parents are on the phone and they're old school. My dad goes, "You're Turkey? Haven't you ever seen Midnight Express? You're going to get arrested." I'm like, "Dad, it's not 1970 and I'm not selling pot. What are you talking about?" And then he's on, you can hear him, "Janine, he's going to Turkey." And my mom's like, "Hasn't he seen Midnight Express?" And I'm going. And I went to Turkey and it was awesome. It was way better than Greece. The food was awesome. The people were probably the top friendliest of countries I've been to. They were so friendly. It was amazing.
No shit.
And, fast forward, Obama opens up relations with Cuba. I call my parents that day. I go, "I'm going to Cuba.
Oh.
Going in 2 weeks." My dad's like, I can't deal with, why do you go to these places?
How was that? Is it like going back in a time machine? That's what I've heard.
Yeah, we just went again. I went in 2016. I went alone. And then we just went in this last February, 2023. The whole family, aunts, kids,
Brendo?
sister. No Brendo. Well, we went to a place called Veradero Beach. It's a little primitive. It's not at the resorts and hotel. Well, you can't stay at a hotel. You have to stay at Airbnb because the government owns the hotels. And as an American, you're not allowed to contribute to the Communist Party of Cuba. So I stayed in an Airbnb. We were right on the beach. It was $350 a night. Slept like 8 people. Not the greatest accommodations, but we got the beach.
Sure.
You're just sleeping at night.
Sure.
So we were there for a few days, and then we went in Havana. And Havana's run down. I mean, you could see it was great at one point. I mean, Havana in the 40s, 30s must have been amazing. Yeah, they have the old cars.
That's what I was going to ask you.
Yeah, everyone always. Yeah, I heard they have other cars there. They use the classic cars as cabs.
Oh.
And so you can get a little cab that looks like a golf ball, and it's $3. You can get a regular Hyundai or whatever, Honda, whatever
Corolla
car, yeah, for $5, or you can go in a '57 Bel Air convertible for $10. So they use them as cabs. They have other cars there. That's kind of a
That's cool.
myth. So, but yeah, it's great. The people were super friendly. Food was this time was bland because they don't grow anything in Cuba. They import everything.
Oh.
When the Soviet Union was still around, they used to give Cuba like $1 billion a year. When the Soviet Union collapsed, Cuba collapsed because they had no money coming in. They have no resources.
Why were the Russians giving them money?
Because they were a communist country. They were contributing to they wanted Cuba to be a communist, right on America's doorstep. We want to fund this, this communist country. So,
interesting.
Yeah, it's a cool place. And it's from here.
Would you go back?
I would go back to Veradero Beach.
How far is it?
Flight from here?
Sure,
like an hour and a half. Yeah. It's quick.
90 miles from Key West.
They have flights that go right into Veradero as well. It's just this long strip, most beautiful beach I've ever been to in the world.
Oh,
Absolutely.
wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
and the waves, like I love Mexico, but like you go to Cancun or Riviera Maya, the waves, I mean, they'll suck you out in the ocean. These waves are just like it's perfect for you. Got kids, they go in the water.
Clear.
No seaweed. You could see out for miles.
Oh, that's cool.
No seaweed, no rocks, nothing. Just perfect.
And it's still open for Americans to be able to travel?
You can go there. You just there's no if you get into trouble, there's no embassy, so you're at the will of the Cuban government. But they're not. The first time I went, I was like, oh my God, are they going to be going through my phone and like all no, just they really don't care that you're American.
There's no American embassy. That's interesting. Yeah. So
Trump closed it when he came into office. I don't know why. I think we should have normal relations with Cuba. It's our neighbor, right?
Yeah.
I mean, let's get over this thing. Castro died, 10 years ago or something.
Yeah.
Like, let's move on.
Huh.
So, well, let me ask you this: where would you go If you go anywhere in the world right now, I always ask this to people. I think it's a great icebreaker. If you go anywhere in the world right now, get on a plane, where would you go?
I'm really intrigued about flying into Kathmandu and then taking this deadly airplane trip to go up to base camp. I've seen so many things on it. It requires physical strength. It requires, mental fortitude to be able to withstand, should I be doing this? Should I not be doing this? I'm sure the scenery's second to none. I really want to do that. I also want to run with the bulls. To me, that's one that should be a low-hanging fruit on the bucket list.
Yeah.
I would really like to do that.
Well, what's holding you back from doing that?
Right now, nothing.
Nothing.
No.
So you would do it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'd like to do it.
I think the number one thing, too, is time. It's hard for people to take 2-3 weeks off.
That's the tough part.
It's tough. Yeah.
That's really
Especially
tough.
if you have kids, you know. But
my kids are, the thing is, the kids are at an age now where daddy's not number one. Their friends are.
yeah, they're teenagers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so if I was ever going to do it, it seems like this would be the window because I'm still in shape enough to, probably be able to huff my way part of the way up there. And, yeah, I'm not missing 2 weeks. That's where I would want to go.
It's doable. And the 2 weeks goes by quick. I mean, it's...
How much time do you need for running with the bulls?
Running of the bulls, let's see. We were in Barcelona, and we took the train to Pamplona. I don't remember if it was a night train. They run every day for a week. So the problem with when you go to something like that where it's very heavily populated with tourists during that 1 week is finding accommodations. You got to look a year out, sometimes a year and a half out.
Oh.
So if you could get a place for 3 days, you could stay there for 3 days. I mean, do you really want to run 3 days with the bulls? No. So you would plan your trip and go, I want to go to Barcelona and Madrid, and then we'll run for 2 days.
I think 2 days would be perfect.
Yeah, who wants to run every day?
No, I want to do enough. Get the photo ops, get the adrenaline going.
Yeah, get the adrenaline going.
Slap the thing on the ass.
Yeah, just
cross it off.
I did it. I did that. And again, it's a guy like you. You're in sales. I just came back from Spain. All right, I ran with the bulls. Get the fuck out. Yeah, just let me. Oh, look at. You
got some wild, sir. I had no idea. You know what I mean? I knew you were on all these trips, but now that we're just talking about it, that's impressive. That's massively impressive.
Yeah. Well, I just that's
what's in the store for Ryan Silk 2024.
2024 traveling wise.
Yeah. Anything on the books?
Yeah, Colombia in February.
Oh.
Dragon. We go every February. We go on family vacation. So we take my parents. My aunt comes. My sister. Everybody.
Brenda.
No Brenda. No Brenda.
Jeez, he's a
so
ghost.
I mean, everyone goes. And, we don't go into anywhere dangerous. Everyone's like, Colombia. And I go, Cartagena's pretty safe. America's way more dangerous than some of the
Chicago or
exactly.
New York City.
Yeah, it's all where you go. I'm not going down a dark alley in Cartagena at night.
Looking for nose beers?
Yeah. Whatever. Nose clams. So we're going to Colombia, then Iceland. And then I'm going back to Isle of Man TT. I go alone, or I go with friends. I don't bring anyone because it's not everyone's cup of tea.
How long are you there for on that one?
That trip's a week. Yeah. I mean, you could stay longer. I've been to Ireland like 6 or 7 times, so it's like I just want to get in and get out, hang out with my friend for a night. We go tie one on. And yeah, and so it's a funny story. My buddy Jim, I told him, I said, hey, I'm coming to this was 2019. I said, hey, I'm going to Isle of Man. Let's catch up. I'm flying into Dublin. He says, I'll meet you. We'll have a couple of beers or something. So
great accent.
We go. So he goes, I'll meet you at 2:30. I'll be done with work and I'll go home and shower and I'll meet you at 2:30. I said, all right, well, I'll meet you at 2:30. So I couldn't check into my hotel because you got to check in at 3. So I leave my bag. I said, yeah, you can leave your bag here. So I go out with Jim. Now, the next morning, I'm flying to Isle of Man. I got to be at the airport at like 6 or 7 in the morning, So we were out till 4 a.m. I come crawling back to my hotel. I'm like, and the guy goes, are you Ryan? I go, yeah. He's like, do you still want your room? I'm like, well, I might as well go shower. I didn't even sit down. I just went and showered and grabbed my bag and left, So this time we meet up with Jim and he meets all my buddies and we had been to Ireland before family vacation. We went to Ireland and so Jim's met my whole family and I said, Jim, I can't be out till 4 in the morning. He goes, no worries. I'm bringing my daughter and my other daughter's husband to make sure we're not out till 4 in the morning. I'm like, perfect. Get back to the hotel this time. It's 3:30 in the morning. I go, Jim, you're in charge of this. He's like, typical Irish guy goes, well, you said not till 4. It's 3:30. I'm like, I can't. And here we are. That morning, got to go to the airport. We're going to the Isle of Man. The whole flight, I'm over there going like, ugh. And I'm telling my buddies, don't drink a lot. My buddies are big party guys. I go, don't drink a lot. We got to fly in the morning. So at midnight, they're like, hey, we're going to bed. I'm like, yeah, I'll be, no.
Oh, you stayed out.
I stayed out because I was catching up with Jim. We have a good time,
That's fucking hilarious. Has Jim been to the States?
No, because he likes going to India. He likes going to places that is cheap, and he's like, America's expensive. So, I said, if you ever come, obviously, you have a place to stay with us.
That's funny.
Yeah, so I'm hoping he comes.
You ever see yourself relocating somewhere else in the United States? Or are you going to stay in the Northeast?
I'm going to stay in the Northeast for now. I'm a New England guy. I've been around the world. I've lived all over the place. I like New England because I like the ocean and I like the mountains. And, a place like Colorado is beautiful, but I want to be close to the ocean. And given that I travel a lot, that's a good spot to be. 45 minutes from my house, there's 2 airports that I can go anywhere. If I need to go to Asia or, somewhere far in Europe, I can go to New York. It's 2 hours away. Boston is an hour and a half. So for me, it's more feasible travel-wise to be in that area. Nothing against Florida, but if you're in Florida and you want to go somewhere, you got to go, you might have to take 2 or 3 flights to get somewhere, I like just getting on and
that makes sense. That makes sense.
So, yeah.
Rhino, this has been a really interesting deep dive talk. I had no idea how much traveling you did, and you've helped add some things to my bucket list.
Yeah, for sure.
Is there anything else that you wanted to get off your chest? We're an hour and 10 minutes into this.
I know what you want me to get off my chest.
What's that?
You want me to talk about my excursion in Baghdad.
I would just like to hear about it.
When I was a young Marine. Yeah, so I was, and for those that are listening or watching the podcast, Keith has been hounding me about this story for years. So I was in Baghdad. And,
this is an amazing story.
I was in I had to go to Baghdad because someone had to go get the mail, right? My base I was at was like 60 miles outside of Baghdad. 60 miles, but it took like 6 hours to get to because there's roadside bombs everywhere and the roads close or, just whatever. So we had to like kind of pull straws to see who's going to get the mail. So like you're risking your life to get, mail, some guy's creatine, you know what I mean? So I pulled a small straw and I got to go to Baghdad and the palace. It was called the Green Zone at the time, which was fine because I had friends that were in the Green Zone. So I think I emailed them back then. I said, I'm coming to the palace. And I said, oh, well, so-and-so he's down in Fallujah or something, so you can just sleep in his bed. You don't have to sleep in one of the tents. They have transient tents. If you're like staying there for a couple nights, you sleep in a big circus tent in a cot, And this is a combat zone. There's rockets flying everywhere. And yeah. So I'm down there and they had a pool that was open. So this is Saddam's old palace, right? So they had a pool. And I'm like, holy shit. And my boss back at my base said, you can drink at the palace. I know that they allow it. You can drink, but please lock your weapon up. I don't want you walking around drinking with your weapon. I said, yeah, hey, no problem. So
he basically says, go ahead and party.
Yeah. So, but you had to go outside of the green zone to get the alcohol. So we had to do like a thunder run. We're driving like 80 miles an hour down these roads because people are trying to kill you everywhere. I mean, this is Iraq 04. It's, this is like the wild, wild west,
Desert Storm stuff fucking.
Yeah. So we go flying down. We get the liquor. We get the beer or whatever and come back and I bought a cooler and I'm sitting by the pool drinking. I'm just drinking beers and I'm all right. Kind of felt guilty because every now and then you'd see like a medical helicopter go by and you're like, shit, some guy just got shot or something. But at the same time, it's like, hey, the opportunity's there. Take it. Have a beer. You're by if anyone else was in that position, they'd be doing the same thing.
Fuck
right?
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there drinking, just enjoying the sun, pool, swimming.
At Saddam Hussein's palace.
Saddam Hussein's palace, yeah. Yeah. And so as a side story, I went to the bathroom, and the toilets were gold. Like, that's a real thing. There was a phone there that was like gold, gold plated, whatever. And so I pick up the phone in the bathroom, and I'm like sitting on the toilet in like the Palace, you know. And the Palace it's huge. You can't even fathom the size of this place. I mean, it's
like
probably,
a hotel size, or like, give me.
Take a hotel and lay it flat.
Oh fuck.
That.
Okay, so it wasn't
like
vertical.
3-4 stories, and probably, I don't know,
a compound.
Yeah. So I'm in the bathroom and pick up the phone, and it's beep, 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 beep. And I'm like, holy shit, the phone works.
There's dial tone.
So I dial 9, and I had a girlfriend at the time. She left me when I was over there. I got a Dear John email, Dear John, I'm moving in with Jim. And I'm like,
while you're over risking your life by the pool.
Yeah. So, I mean, to her credit, she was a great person. I wasn't ready for that anyway.
Sure.
She ended up marrying Jim. They had 2 kids. And every now and then, we're friends on Instagram and, whatever. Cool. So it worked out well, So I call her phone, and she goes, who is this? And I go, what do you mean, who is this? And she's like, who is this? I go, it's Ryan. It's your boyfriend. She's like, no, it's not. I said, yeah, it is. She had in like 845 area code, and the company that set up the communications after the initial bombing of the Palace was a company from her area.
No,
so they set the area code at 845.
No way.
So
out of Saddam's palace.
Yes. So she was like, she's like, there's no way. I said, ask me a question. Why? Ask me a question. Who do you think it is? She thought someone was messing with her. So she starts asking me questions. She's like, it showed up on my phone as 845, her area code.
That's wild.
Yeah, it was crazy. So anyway, back to, we're
so you called the ex while you're taking a dump on a solid cold toilet, and now what?
Yeah. I had already gotten the Dear John email, but I didn't have phones on our base, so I had no way of calling her.
So that was really awkward.
Yeah, so I was kind of calling her just to be like, hey, just whatever, hello, So after that, I was like, all right,
You didn't call anybody else, like?
I think I called, some friends.
Yeah, I would have. I mean, what a flex.
Yeah, I was lit, So I just couldn't believe it. It's like dial 9, and it worked,
That's so cool.
So I'm at the pool, and it's like it's like nighttime, and this girl comes over. She's pretty hot, and she goes, oh, where do you get the beers? I said, oh, you got to go off bases. You can't go now. I said, I got, you want a beer? I got some, Then partying with her all, we're sipping beers and hanging out and stuff. And then she was staying in those tents because she had just got there. She was an Air Force chick. And so I'm walking her back to the tents, and the tents were like kind of on the front lawn. And there's Saddam used to have fountains out there. The fountains weren't working. They were just defunct. And long story short, I ended up getting laid on Saddam Hussein's front lawn.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
That's an epic.
Yeah.
We got to make T-shirts.
Yeah.
This is
just
sick.
A fountain with no water in it.
Is there a picture of the fountain or the palace?
You could pull it up online. Yeah. I mean, there's I don't, everyone always says like, well, don't you have pictures? I say, well, back then, they had those crappy digital cameras, and they would break. So I have some pictures, but it's not like today where you pull out your phone. I don't have many pictures of me in the military.
I understand. Yeah, 100%.
So, I mean, I have pictures from Iraq and stuff, but it's not like I'm like, the next day, like, I got to take a picture of this pool.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and you're not carrying around this big camera with you because it's not attached to your phone.
Yeah.
Like, how often did you carry a camera in 1990?
Yeah. So that was, yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
That's a
good times.
That's a massive flex, dude.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. For some.
Saddam Hussein's compound.
Yeah. And I think that before I got there, they just caught him, and might have been right before I got there or after I left. They finally, he was in hiding for almost a year.
Yeah, they found him like in a hole, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he looked like fucking turd.
I was surprised though with Iraq, because where I was at, the women wore you look like
hijabs.
Hijab, yeah.
Hijab.
And then when you were at the palace, the women looked like they looked like Italian. They were wearing like tight jeans and stilettos, and they didn't have the hijab. And they were. I was like, wow, these women are beautiful here.
Saddam was bucking the system, huh?
Yeah, he was. Yeah,
yeah,
for sure. Yeah.
But you guys go do that, but I'm gonna do this.
I'll be here.
Yeah.
At the palace. Yeah, so it was a wild place. It's a wild place, and like I said, I'd been Afghanistan, and that was two totally different dynamics. And anyone that's been to both will tell you it's Afghanistan. They live like the Stone Age.
Still.
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah. You'll go to places. You fly at night, so if you have to go from one base to another, you would fly at night, and you would be able to tell who the warlord of that area is, because he's the only guy with lights on in his house.
Oh.
He's the only guy with a generator.
Huh.
You'd see a whole town or city. No, there's no power. There's no running water. They just use the stream or whatever. And I remember being in one town. I couldn't tell you where I was, Jalrez or one of these Shindad or one of these towns, and they had the guys hitting the women with the sticks. They had the full face shield, or whatever it's called. And I was just like, wow, this is wild.
It's real.
It's real.
Fuck.
Yeah, they still stone people there. It's
archaic.
Yeah, it's archaic. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, that's
an amazing story.
that sums it up.
I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you enjoy the rest of your stay here in Florida. I know it's not Nepal or Peru.
No, it's just as not. I'm here with friends and family. So
yeah. Well, we're glad to have you.
Thank you.
And I appreciate you being involved in the content and coming by today. I think this will probably be one of the most watched podcasts that I've ever had. So I'm excited to clip it up and get it out there.
Awesome, man. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, if you like this, don't forget to hit the alert button and stay tuned for our next podcast. Thanks, Rhino.